try to look pretty for the camera.
Oh, is my pimple coming? No, it's just skin. As you get older, your skin sort of swells, and you can't pop these sorts of pimples, and they just hang under your skin and hurt. So, I don't know if I've ever made a video explaining this. I always saved it, this theory, because it's the epitome of theories. Sorry. For a while, I said that I thought that the universe was surrounded by giant black holes, and that was what was expanding the universe. And that's a little outdated now for me specifically. It's still a fun theory to imagine, to our inevitable doom, I would say. And yeah, I mean, we are destined for destruction. It's just, why would a Big Bang even happen? And then you have to consider supercritical mass of black holes. And gosh, that's been a long time. Hawking never mentioned anything about supercritical mass of a black hole, and so I started to deviate away from that, and I would think more about I suppose it's called conformal cyclic cosmology. I don't even know what I called it before he wrote that paper. I don't think I even called it anything. I was just looking at a way that the universe could cycle endlessly and naturally. And so what I just read was a question about forehead. Does the universe have like an edge or something like that? And the answer is that yes and no. So the universe itself is infinite. However, we live within, and the best way that I like to say is that it's Swiss cheese. I just like that because it's fun. But it's more like aerogel, and it's a super critical state of black hole matter, you know, black matter and dark matter or whatever. And so we live within a pore or a bubble or whatever of Swiss cheese, and everything outside of that is dark matter. And so what's causing the expansion? Well, I already made a video just a few minutes ago about this. Is the expansion of the universe is happening because of billions and trillions, who knows how many, I don't know, just tons of microscopic black holes that are large enough to still sustain gravitational forces, and accumulatively but not interactive with each other. It's really strange, but they are evaporating, and so that causes this expansion. Well, so we are technically expanding into the walls of this Swiss cheese. And anyway, sorry, I'm bringing out a topic there. You weren't there to listen to it because you had to be in here, but what I'm trying to say is it goes into, this is my multiverse theory. This is what I think of multiverses and what they actually are, is that looking at, so say we took two black holes and we shot two particles into them, and Penrose solved the black hole information paradox, but I see it slightly differently in that there's going to be a cause and effect of this at some point. So if you were to say shoot two entangled particles into each wall and say opposite sides of the universe, and one hits this one and one hits that one, well then logically, if this happened naturally, potentially, how those two opposite universes, so this is our universe, right, and it's just this giant pore within this cheese, and so there's another pore over here and another pore over there, and the cheese can vary in thicknesses and stuff. It's not perfect. But this isn't how I explain the imbalance of antimatter and matter, because that's a totally different thing. This is just something else. This is how interference patterns and entangled particles can have an effect that replicates multiverses, that replicates our universe and creates parallel universes. And so if you shot one into that one, you shot one into that one, now those two all of a sudden, let's say that they reach their critical mass and they have an evaporative index, that the other universe over here and this universe over here are going to evaporate. As long as, you know, the walls of the cheese are consistent and everything is identical, then they will replicate effects. And why am I talking about this? Anyway, we have to lighten up. Whatever. So I'm sharing this because I want to get all of this out, because I might not get a better chance to, if that makes any sense, right? You know, I mean, I might not get a better chance to just sit and think about the universe. So here's your little particle, and as this all expands outwardly, what's happening too is that, like I said, you send those entangled particles. Why does this go away? that evaporative index is going to happen to our universe too. And so it's going to basically have a perfect probability of evaporative dark matter particles. I call them null particles, and they come together in the center and they start to build. And so all of this mass, and this is just kind of congealing and stuff, and we're expanding outwardly, and it's like basically replacing us where we've been. Let's say if we were the center of the universe, right? That, because we're not, but it's just easier to imagine that. Well, I suppose not, because then we would be just expanding volumetrically. That's weird to say. All of the universes in a spherical manner then are expanding volumetrically, and at the center of them, replacing them, is a singularity that starts to build, and it has a higher probabilistic interference structure, and it's building quicker than it can evaporate. And this is where the Big Bang comes from. And so it builds and it builds and it builds, and we're headed towards our doom and our demise. But as we get closer and closer, the walls start evaporating, and then these universes blend together. Except now we are accelerating towards basically the same fucking galaxy or whatever else, you know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of chaos that can happen there. But for the most part, as that happens, then another big Bang happens. And so we experience the creation of a whole new universe. And as this happens, and it happens elsewhere, then the sponge, or it's a Swiss cheese, it's cuter to say Swiss cheese, and then the Swiss cheese starts to reconstitute itself. It starts to restructure itself. And then this forms in between all of our galaxies and stuff. And right now we're at a reconstitution phase, I think. And this takes just an unfathomable amount of time for this all to do this. But then, so we're not even getting into my gravitational field model, how I reduce small particles and construction into the standard model of particles. But I'm literally holding the whole fucking universe in my head, and I just periodically I get tired of just laying there and thinking about it, and I want to talk about it. Why did I learn language? Why else did I learn language? To talk. And you don't live forever. And it doesn't matter that whether or not I win an award or something. It's just, if you can inspire thought in other people, whether I'm even right or wrong, it doesn't matter. That it's still been a pretty good time.